Welcome to our studio. My name is Julie, if you have never been here before. Today we have a little bit of a different practice. This one will be set up in segments. So still dynamic yoga method, still engaging bandhas, moving in stillness, all of that good stuff. But this time we are going to pause a little bit after each 20 minutes so that you can decide if you want to move on to the next 20 minutes and make it a 40-minute practice, or if you would like to just keep going for the full 60 minutes. Maybe you'll end up just doing 20. That is better than nothing, okay? So 5 minutes is better than nothing, actually. So the first thing you want to do is just kind of set up your space. I would suggest lighting some candles, maybe putting on a little bit of music in the background. I will have a little bit of music playing in my background, but I'm not quite sure if you'll hear it very well. So maybe get that going. I don't know, maybe a little glass of water. Just set yourself up well so that you're coming into a space where you feel motivated and centered and grounded and ready to start your day or end your day or have a great midday, anything, anytime. But just make it a ritual. Really, I don't know, bring everything together so that you are all present at this moment, not worrying about yesterday or tomorrow. Okay? All right, let's get started. Find a place to settle in on your mat and close your eyes. Connect to your breath. And just notice it moving in and out through your nose. Listen to the sounds around you. Notice the temperature of the space that you're in. Begin to soften the muscles of your face, forehead, the eyes. Unhinge the jaw by placing a little bit of space between the upper and lower rows of teeth, and then pressing your tongue into the roof of your mouth. And draw your shoulders away from your ears. And just start to focus and connect to the sensation that you're feeling in your body. Keep your attention also on your breath, still moving in and out through the nose. And just start to take in your whole physical form in the space that you're in. How the floor feels underneath you. How your legs feel as they overlap. And now bring your awareness to your heart. And in this time before we start to move, set an intention for your time here on your mat. It can be a single word, a phrase, just something that you can use to come back to this centered state and stay in the present moment. And when you're ready, you can lower your hands down if you have raised them to the heart and come down onto your back. And then once you're on your back, lengthen your legs out long. Lift and spread the toes, press the heels down. And draw the low belly in and up. Take your arms down by your sides and spread your fingers wide. These 3 actions are called bandhas, and they will keep your joints safe and stable throughout this practice. And when you're ready, you can take your arms up and overhead as you inhale, and then as you exhale, take your arms down by your sides. Move like this with your breath, establishing that pattern of one breath, one movement. The slower the breath, the slower the movement. The slower the movement, the slower the breath. Keep the bandhas engaged. Pay attention to your back body. Make sure your tailbone is pressed down and the lower back rib cage is pressed down and the front body is braced. The next time the arms are overhead, pause. Just take a moment for a full body stretch. Then as you exhale, lift the head and shoulders, reach forward and draw your right knee in. As you inhale, come back down with the head and shoulders, arms overhead, leg out long, and move with your breath like this from side to side. So with each exhale, lift the head and shoulders, reach forward, and draw one knee in. With each inhale, lengthen everything back out long, legs out long, arms overhead. And just keep moving like this, very steady pace. Notice the core effort that's happening here. And the next time the right knee is drawn in, pause. Keep your chin tucked down towards your chest. Keep the breath moving through the nose, in and out. Bandhas are still engaged. Notice where your thoughts go when you're in stillness with a little bit of effort. As you inhale next, lengthen everything out long again. Take a moment for a full body stretch. And when you're ready, on the next exhale, draw the left knee in, lift the head and shoulders, reach forward, tuck the chin, keep the breath moving. Come back to noticing sensation, especially since you have already been here before. Do you feel anything different on this side? And with the next inhale, take the arms back up and overhead, lengthen the legs out long. Take a moment again for a full body stretch. And then place a bend into your knees. Step your feet wide apart to the outside edges of your mat. Take the arms out into a T with the palms down. Lift and spread the toes, pull the belly in, spread the fingers wide. As you exhale, take your knees to the right and take your gaze to the left. As you inhale, come back through the center. With the next exhale, take your knees to the left and your gaze to the right. Inhale back through center. So move with your breath. Again, establishing that rhythm, that pattern, one breath, one movement. Notice what you feel in the feet, the hips, the core, the shoulders, the arms. And the next time your knees are to the right, pause. You can place your right foot on your left thigh if you wish. That will give you a little bit more opening in the front of the left hip. You can also take the left arm up and overhead. can feel an opening on the side body. And if you've actually chosen the right side, like I have done here, that's okay. Come back to noticing the quality of your thoughts when you are in stillness. And when you're ready, come back through center. And with the next exhale, take your knees to the left, take your gaze to the right. This time, pause. Pick up your left foot, place it on your right thigh. You'll feel more opening in the front of the right hip this time. And this time I suggest taking your right arm up and overhead, even though I have taken my left arm up and overhead. It really doesn't matter, but you will get a little bit more opening on that one side if you have that same arm up. Come back to noticing thoughts, noticing your breath and how it moves your body in this subtle twist. When you're ready, you can come back through center and bring the arms down by your sides. Place a bend into your knees. Keep your feet about hips distance apart here, and then lift your feet up off of the floor so your knees are tracking right over your hips. Place your hands at the back of the thigh just underneath the knees. And as you inhale, start to straighten out both legs at the same time, keeping a little bit of opposition in place between your hands and your legs. So as you're pulling back with your hands, you're pushing slightly forward with your thighs as you bend and straighten the knees. Bandha is still engaged, the toes are lift and spread. And then the next time the legs are straight, pause there and then just get a little bit of movement in your ankles. So you can point and flex, circle, whatever feels good to just kind of get a little bit of movement going there. And when you are ready, you can take your feet back down to the floor. Lengthen the left leg out long. Keep the right knee bent and then lift the foot up off of the floor so the right knee is tracking over the right hip. Take your left hand to the outside of your right thigh, your right hand out into a T with the palm down for support. And as you exhale, start to carry the right knee over to the left. As you inhale, come back through center. Move with your breath like this and just notice what's happening with the shoulders. Only twist as far as you can twist with both shoulders still grounded. So if you notice that the right shoulder is coming up off the ground, don't twist quite so far. And you may notice after you've moved a bit, you'll be able to go a little bit farther. And the next time the knee is drawn over to the left, pause. You can take your gaze over to the right. Keep the grounded toes pointing up. Make sure the right foot is not dropping down. Keep it tracking straight out from the knee. Come back to your breath. Come back to noticing sensation here. As you inhale next, bring everything back to the center and draw the right knee in. Just give it a moment to release. And then set up for the other side. So this time the right leg will be drawn out long, toes lifted and spread, heel pressed down. Lift up the left foot so the left knee is tracking over the left hip. The right hand will be on the outside of the left knee, and the left arm will be out into a T with the palm down. As you exhale, this time take the left knee over to the right, and with the inhale, come back to the center. So each exhale, carry the left knee over to the right. With each inhale, come back to the center. And again, notice what's happening with the shoulders. Make sure that they are still grounded. Pay attention to the grounded leg. And the next time the knee is drawn over to the right, pause. And this time take your gaze to the left. And again, you have been here before on the opposite side, so just do a little check-in. Notice if you feel anything different. And if you do notice anything different, no judgment, no trying to figure it out, it just is. And with the next inhale, come back to the center. Draw the left knee in with your hands. Just release for a moment. You can move the ankles around again if you'd like. And then lengthen the leg out long. Now stay on your back. Lengthen your legs out long. Take your arms back up and over your head. And we'll come into the goal pose for this section of the practice. Engage the bandhas. And as you exhale, lift the head and shoulders, reach forward, draw the right knee in, and then twist over to the right with the upper body, taking both arms to the outside of your right leg that is drawn in. Come to stillness here. Keep the breath moving in and out through your nose. And for a little bit of extra effort, you can lift the left leg slightly up off of the floor. That is an option only if you would like more effort. Keep the bandhas engaged, toes lifted and spread, core braced, fingers spread wide, chin tucked down. Keep reaching forward. And then when you're ready, you can come back to the center, lengthen the legs out long, take your arms back up and over your head. Take a moment for a full body stretch here. And as you exhale next, draw the left knee in, lift the head and shoulders, reach forward, and then twist your upper body off to the left, taking both arms to the outside of your left leg. Hold. Keep reaching the fingertips forward. Keep the bandhas engaged. And stay focused on the breath moving in and out through the nose. The breath might even be audible at this point. with the chin tucked down. You have what is called the Ujjayi breath, and that is helpful to keep you centered and present. Just the sound of your breath. And then come back through center. Lengthen the legs out long once more. Take your arms overhead. Place a bend into your knees. Take your arms up and over your head and just let them be kind of loose and easy this time. You can clasp your hands behind the head any way that you'd like, goddess arms, but come into a place of the windshield wipers, taking your knees from side to side and your gaze in the opposite direction. Just do this a few times really easily, just to release as we start bringing the body back into balance. And then bring the bottoms of your feet together. Let the knees go out wide. Keep your arms overhead, but clasp your hands together if you haven't already, and bring them down closer to your head. And just take a moment to notice the symmetry between the upper and lower parts of your body. And then whenever you are ready, you can come out of that. Make your way to your hands and knees, and then down to your belly. Once you're on your belly, lengthen the legs out long. Bring the legs together like they're one leg. Bring the hands underneath your shoulders so your elbows are up, forehead on your mat. With your inhale, lift the head and shoulders up, lift the hands up, and maybe try to lift your feet. Keep everything in the core pressed down. Move with your breath a few times in and out of this, and the next time, or when you're ready, the head and shoulders are lifted, the hands are lifted off of your mat, possibly the feet. Hold. Keep the breath moving in and out through your nose. Keep everything in the core and the front body pressed down into the mat. Stay focused on your breath, moving in and out of the nose. Focus on sensation here. And as you exhale, lower the head back down. Take your arms up and over your head. Bend the knees. Take the knees out wide. And as you exhale, take the feet from side to side. So as you exhale, take the feet to the side. Inhale, center. Exhale, switch to the other side. Inhale, center. And move a few times with your breath. Windshield wipe on the belly. You can also bring your arms in to rest your head on your arms if you'd like. And just take a moment to rest and release here. Maybe consider taking Shavasana on your belly. Taking some time to digest what you have just done. This is the end of the first part of this practice. You have the option of stopping the video now or continuing to part 2. Part 2 of practice begins on hands and knees. So come to your hands and knees, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, and feet straight out from your knees. Pull the belly in, press the tops of your feet down, press the fingertips down, and as you inhale, take your gaze forward and bring your shoulder blades together on your back. As you exhale, push your shoulder blades apart, look back at your legs. As you inhale, bring the shoulder blades together, look forward. As you exhale next, push your shoulder blades apart, look back at your legs, and send your hips back to your heels. With the next inhale, come back up to hands and knees and keep moving like this with your breath. So inhale, shoulders together, look forward. Exhale, shoulders apart, look back, send your hips back to your heels. Move with your breath on this new foundation, establishing that rhythm. Connecting to sensation again on this new foundation. And the next time your hips are to your heels, pause there, bring your big toes together, take your knees out wide, and bring your forehead down to your mat with your arms stretched above your head. Keep reaching forward so your elbows come up off of your mat. And with each exhale, take one shoulder down toward the mat as you lift the other one up a little bit. With each inhale, you'll come back to the center, and then with the next exhale, you'll switch sides. So move like this from side to side with your breath. Exhale, shoulder down, the other up. Inhale back through center. Exhale, the other shoulder down, the opposite one up. Just get a feel for range of motion in your shoulders, sensation in the shoulders as you move. And then come back up to your hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, feet straight out from the knees. This time tuck your toes under, pull the belly in, and as you exhale, send your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Pause in downward facing dog, belly pulled in, pressing yourself away from the mat. Keep your knees bent a little bit, tailbone lifted just a little bit. You might find over time you can straighten the legs just a little bit more, but don't lock the knees. You're prioritizing the spine here, so keep the knees bent as much as possible, as much as you need. Then lift yourself up onto your toes, move your shoulders forward, and then start to bring your knees down to your mat. Untuck the toes, send your hips back to your heels. As you inhale, come right back up to your hands and knees, tuck the toes under. Exhale, lift the knees up, send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Pause to feel this. Lift yourself up to your toes, shoulders forward, knees down, untuck the toes, and send your hips back to your heels. Keep moving with your breath through this earth salutation. You can go at your own pace. It doesn't really matter my pace, just follow your breath. Once you get a sense of where you're going, you can just keep your eyes closed and be in your own little world. Staying focused on sensation, staying focused on the present moment. And the next time you have your hips lifted, pause. Again, try to feel everything here. Everything is working here except the muscles of your face. So check in with those and make sure that they're softened. And then walk your hands forward slightly so there's more space between your feet and your hands, and start to move the shoulders forward again. And now you're coming into plank. So shoulders over your wrists, and you're up on your toes with the legs lengthened out long. As you exhale, send the hips up and back again to downward facing dog. And as you inhale, bring the shoulders forward so that you come down into plank. Keep the shoulders spread apart, so keep pressing yourself away from the mat. Keep your belly pulled in, and keep your breath moving steadily in and out through your nose. And the next time you're in plank, you can pause. If this does not feel good in your body, you can definitely hold in downward facing dog instead. And then come back up to downward facing dog if you haven't been there yet, and start to pedal the heels. So you might want to take your feet up a little, maybe a few steps, and then start to pedal the heels on the breath. And then slowly begin to walk the hands and the feet together so that you come to the front of your mat in a forward fold. So rest and release here. Take a hold of opposite elbows with your hands if you wish, and then just maybe gently side to side sway a little bit. Again, releasing. And then bring that to stillness. Keep your hands down on the mat, send your hips down and back. Come up about halfway, bring your shoulder blades together. On your inhale, lift the torso up and the arms to frame your ears. Make sure you can still see your toes. Keep the belly pulled in. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. Breathe in and out through the nose, focusing on something in front of you. Fingers spread out wide. Challenge yourself to go back a little bit more maybe. And then as you exhale, come to standing. Bring your arms down by your sides and your hands to your heart. Take a moment here, and then with the next inhale, take your arms up and over your head. As you exhale, take the right arm down and the left arm up and over. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, left arm down, right arm up and over. Inhale, both arms up. Bring the palms together. Bring your hands to your heart. Hinge at your hips into the forward fold again, and you're back where you started. So take a moment, send the hips down and back. Bring the shoulder blades together, lift the torso, lift the arms to frame your ears. Make sure you can see your toes and they're lifted and spread, belly pulled in. Exhale, come to standing, bring your hands to your heart. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, right arm down, left arm up and over. Inhale up. Exhale, left arm down, right arm up and over. Inhale up. Bring the palms together, bring your hands to your heart, and hinge at your hips into the forward fold. So move through this half sun salutation at your own pace, following your breath. You can add in that lateral bend if you like, or you can leave it out. That's the only thing that's different about this half sun salutation. You can pause where you'd like to pause. If you'd like more effort, pause in chair pose with your hips down and back and your torso up. If you'd like to pause in that forward fold, this is your practice, so anything is fine. My words are suggestions. Keep checking in with the bandhas. Now pause in that forward fold. Take a hold of opposite elbows with your hands. And then bring that to stillness. Bring your full palms down on the mat. And then step one big step back with your right foot. Bring the right knee down. So the left knee will be over your left ankle. And your right knee will be under your right hip, slightly behind it. You can tuck the toes on that right leg or just keep the top of your foot down. Either one is fine. Try to lift and spread the toes though on the front foot. And when you feel steady, come up with your torso, place your hands on your hips. And as you inhale, take the arms up and overhead. Bring the arms to goal post, shoulder blades together on your back. Keep the shoulder blades together. As you exhale, start to twist the upper body off to the left. As you inhale, come back through center. Move with your breath a few times like this. And the next time you are twisted off to the left, pause. Bring the palms together. Hinge at your hips a little bit more to bring your torso a little bit more toward that front leg, and place the right elbow on the outside of your left knee. And look up and over your left elbow if that's possible, or you can just keep your head straight. Pause here and just notice how this feels. It's a little balance challenge. As you inhale, come out of that. Bring your hands back down to the mat, and then slowly start to send your hips back to your back heel. So the left foot will still be in the front, lengthened out long, and go ahead and start to point and flex that foot, releasing the hamstring. And then come back up, place your hands back down on your mat on either side of your left foot. Lift yourself back up so that you can place your right foot next to the left. Pause for a moment again here in that forward fold. Bring your hands back down to your mat. Full palms down. This time, step one big step back with your left foot. Bring the left knee down. Make sure the right knee is over your ankle. The left knee is under and maybe slightly back from the hip. When you're steady, bring your torso up, hands on hips. And when you're ready, inhale, both arms up. Bring the arms to goalpost, shoulder blades together on your back. As you exhale, twist the upper body off to the right. And move with your breath. Same thing, other side. Bandhas engaged, toes lifted and spread on the front foot. Fingers spread out really wide, belly pulled in. And the next time you are twisted to the right, pause. Notice if your balance is a little bit different here compared to that first side. Bring your palms together, hands to heart. This time, take the left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Look up over the right elbow, or just keep your gaze straight forward. And again, come back to noticing your breath. Connect to your breath, moving in and out through your nose. Find a focal point. Again, this is a little bit of a challenge for your balance. And when you're ready, come out of that twist, place your hands back down on the mat, and slowly walk your hips back to that back heel. Point and flex that front foot, leg lengthened out long, releasing the hamstring. Eventually start to make your way back up so that you can change foundations and come to sitting. And once you're sitting, bring the bottoms of your feet together, knees out wide, and take a hold of the outside edges of your feet, shoulder blades together. And as you exhale, just move the upper body just a little bit forward. Pause. And with the next exhale, a little bit forward. Pause. And just see what this feels like in your body, opening up the hips, compensating for the closed hip goal pose that we just had. And when you're ready, come out of that. Make your way onto your back. Bring the bottoms of your feet together again, and then lift them up so that you can again place your hands at the outside edges of your feet, this time creating that bind and taking your feet slightly forward so that you get an opening at the top of their shoulders. And once you're there, tuck the chin just a little bit and then start to move the head really slowly from side to side. And enjoy this little release. Again, bringing the body back into balance after the closed hip posture. And then start to separate the feet, bringing them apart, and then bringing the bottoms of your feet to face the ceiling. Still with the hands on the outside edges of each foot. And if you'd like to kind of press down with your hands to get a little bit more opening in the hips, this is Happy Baby. And keep breathing through the nose, connecting to breath. And then when you're ready, you can release that bind. Just draw your knees into your chest for a moment. Breathe deeply into the belly. Take the feet back down, lengthen the legs out long. This is time for Shavasana for part 2. So just take this time again to digest what you've done, and you can decide whether or not you want to stop this video now or continue on to part 3. In part 3 will begin sitting. So once you come to sitting, lengthen the right leg out long. Take the left foot to the outside of your right thigh. Take your arms forward, come into a twist, twist off to the left, and take your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Keep the fingers spread out really wide. Your left hand will be behind you, and you can look over your left shoulder. Now, since this is the very first posture of this part 3, don't force a twist, especially if you've just come into this after centering. Just move as much as you can. See what it feels like in your body. Maybe you don't cross the left foot over to the outside of your right thigh. Maybe you just keep it off to the left. It's totally fine. Listen to your body always. Take a moment with the legs outstretched long in front of you. And then switch sides. This time you will take the right foot to the outside of your left thigh. Bring the arms out, come into the twist. This time taking your left elbow to the outside of your right thigh, the right arm behind you. There's a little kickstand. Look over your right shoulder. Notice if anything is different here on this second side. And again, you don't have to cross the foot over to the opposite side. You can keep it straight in front of that hip if that feels best in your body. Don't force a twist. Just start to tune into sensation here. Nothing drastic. We're just coming into our third part of practice here. Bring the arms down by your legs, lengthen the legs out long again, and just breathe a few times deeply into your belly. And then make your way to hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Feet straight out from your knees, tuck the toes under. Pull the belly in, and as you exhale, send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Come up onto your toes, move the shoulders forward, bring the knees down, and send your hips back to your heels. Come up as you inhale, tuck the toes under. Exhale, send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Bring the shoulders forward, the knees down, and the hips back. So another series of earth salutations. Each exhale, you'll be sending your hips up and back. Each inhale, you'll be bringing your knees back down and sending your hips to your heels. The next time you're in downward facing dog, lift the right leg up straight behind you, bend the knee, draw the knee in, and step the right foot forward between the hands. Right knee over ankle, drop the left knee down to the mat, and tuck the toes on that back foot if you'd like. Take the right arm straight out to the right, parallel to the floor. And as you exhale, twist to the right, sending your right hand up toward the ceiling. Lift the left knee up off of the ground so that the left leg is lengthened out long. You're up on your toes. Keep looking up at your right hand. This is our goal for part 3 of practice. Search for your edge. Stay connected to breath. When you've reached that edge, take the right arm back down, take the left knee down, take the right leg back to meet with the left. Send your hips back to your heels and just take a moment to release. If you like to take your arms back or down behind you in child's pose, just to kind of give your shoulders a break. So your hands will be resting back by your feet, forehead down. Breathe deeply into the belly. And when you're ready, come back up to hands and knees, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, feet straight out from the knees. Exhale, send your hips up and back to downward facing dog. This time, take your left leg forward between the hands. Drop the right knee down. Take the left arm straight out to the left. And as you exhale, twist to the left, taking your left hand up toward the ceiling, taking your gaze up toward the left hand. Lifting the right knee this time. The right leg lengthened out long, and you're up on your toes. Searching for your edge. Staying with sensation. Pressing down through the right hand, up with the left. Stay with the present moment. And when you feel like your body needs to come out, bring the left hand back down. Bring the left leg back to meet with the right. And come into child's pose again. Hips to heels, forehead down on the mat. And if you'd like, arms down so that the hands are resting by the feet. And when you're ready, come back up. And slowly make your way to sitting. Bring the bottoms of the feet together. Bring the shoulder blades together on your back. And with each exhale, just move the upper body slightly forward, keeping the back straight, shoulder blades together, knees out wide, feet together, hands on the outsides of your feet. And when you're ready, release that bind. Come to hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Tuck the toes, send the hips up and back to downward facing dog, and then step both feet forward so that you come back to a forward fold at the front of your mat. Now take your feet to the outside edges of your mat. Take your toes out and your heels in and start to bend your knees so that you're really sending your hips all the way down and back. So you come into a squat. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Take your elbows out to the inside edges of your knees and gently press outward just to open the hips a little bit more by pressing the knees away from each other. When you're ready to come out of this, take your hands down. Come down to sitting. Bring the feet back to about hips distance apart and then lower down onto your back. And take a moment just to take a few deep breaths here. Keep your feet about hips distance apart, arms down by your sides. As you inhale, take your hips up toward the ceiling as you press down through all four corners of your feet and down with your arms. With each exhale, lower the hips back down and move with your breath like this a few times. And the next time your hips are lifted, pause there. With the hips still lifted, take your arms up and over your head. Keep the arms up and over your head and slowly lower the hips back down. Once the hips are down, bring the arms down. Lift the hips up. Keep the hips lifted. Take the arms up and overhead. Keep the arms up and overhead as you slowly lower the hips down. Once the hips are down, take your arms down. So move like this a few times with your breath. Just a little massage of the spine as we bring the effort level down and bring the body back into balance. Once the hips are down and the arms are down, keep the knees bent. Walk your feet to the outside edges of your mat. Take your arms up and overhead in any way that feels good to you. Just keep this really easy. Disengage the bandhas, let everything be soft, and just go through a few windshield wipers. Knees to the right, gaze to the left. Knees to the left, gaze to the right. So just a few times back and forth. Each inhale, you'll be coming back through the center. And bring that to stillness when your knees are back in the center. Lengthen your legs out long. Let your feet relax. Arms down by your sides. Let your hands relax. And this is our final Shavasana. Take the time that you need here and digest what you've just done. Try not to skip this part. It's important to kind of bring yourself back, centering again at the end of practice, just to, again, bring yourself back into balance. And whenever you're ready, you can sit back up. You might want to roll over to your side just for a few moments before you come to sitting. Eventually make your way back up to sitting at the front of your mat, your legs crossed, your eyes closed for a couple final deep breaths. Bring your hands back to your heart. Bring yourself back to that intention that you set at the very beginning of practice. Try to seal it in. Take it with you off of your mat. And it is the light in me that looks out and sees that same light within each of you. Namaste.